This video is part 2 of 3 of christraeger analysis. In this one we're going to cover reason number 3, 4, and 5 of how Chris fell into depression. If you haven't seen part 1, definitely go watch that first. I'll put a link down below somewhere. Let's get into this video.
The mayor asked me to step in as city manager, and I, of course, accepted immediately because Pawnee is literally the greatest town in the country.
Culprit number 3, the city manager job. Again, the city of Pawnee and his resident are not good for Chris. The longer he stays, the more he suffers. Everything in this town, in one way or another, always seems to bring out the worst in him. Chris was bound to collapse from the moment he accepted the job of being Pawnee's new city manager. It might sound a bit too simple, but this job is the reason why Chris fell into depression. I think it's appropriate to say that the job of city manager destroyed Chris's mental health. I never noticed how often Chris had to butt heads against his coworkers and friends strictly because of his job, until I rewatched the show again with that in mind, specifically looking for these instances. And believe me, there are so many of them.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm sorry, rules are rules. I wish there was something we could do.
He's just a kid chasing a goofy dream.
I'm sorry. My hands are tied.
And obviously, Chris doesn't like to be in this type of situation where he has to go against his friends, right? But his extreme self-confidence and narcissistic nature tend to put him in said situations. Like his pointless health crusade against the city hall employees and the failed attempt to reorganize the parks department.
I just wanted to make sure this pointless health crusade won't affect the only part of my job that I like.
Oh no, those hamburgers are gone.
One thing worth mentioning here again is Chris's dedication to his work. Chris does not actively seek out to start conflict with his friends and coworkers. Everything he does as the city manager is done out of diligence and accountability to his work. He takes his job very seriously because he truly is an exceptional public servant.
Why do I want to help him? Because he's a good person. I love good people.
Chris doesn't enjoy having to consistently fight his closest friends, but nevertheless, he has to.
You're not supposed to be here.
As a government employee, that's true, but I'm just here as a concerned citizen and founder of PCP, the Parks Committee of Pawnee.
Those are the people that have been harassing me.
We have many demands.
And every time he does, his mental stability takes a hit. And again, this happens a lot more often than you think. The biggest conflict Chris had to deal with as the city manager, the one that left him the most devastated and mentally broken, leads us to culprit number 4.
You need to bring that painting back.
What painting?
Leslie, you have the painting, and you need to bring it back in. I think I've been pretty fair with you, and I'm starting to feel angry.
Okay,
And I
Chris.
don't like feeling angry.
Culprit number 4, Leslie Knope and Ben Wyatt. Obviously, I'm talking about the trial of Leslie Knope. When Leslie and Ben came forward and told Chris that they've been dating in secret, Chris responded with,
I'm launching a full investigation into the extent of your wrongdoing. Please report Monday, first thing to the council chambers for your ethics trial and subsequent punishment.
This whole thing, of course, ended in Leslie getting suspended for a couple of weeks and Ben resigning in disgrace. As a longtime fan of the show, I've heard people say that Chris is selfish for doing this, and that he's a terrible boss and coworker. What I have to say to that is, again, Chris takes his job very seriously. As much as it sounds like an excuse, he honestly was just doing his job to the best of his ability, even though it hurts him.
I am quite miserable. I admire and respect you, and dragging you through an ethics trial is filling me with sadness. I have never felt so low.
Being someone who shares Chris's devotion to his job, Leslie understands him.
My job is to protect the government from fraud and corruption. I was just doing my job. I hope that you can understand that.
I do. Honestly, I do.
I already mentioned this in the intro, but I cannot stress this enough. Chris really does love and care about his friends. My point is, Chris didn't put Leslie and Ben and himself in the situation just because he felt like being a douche. This is not healthy for him. In fact, this makes him so miserable he literally has to take a bunch of supplements, more than he usually does already, just to remain sane.
This is stressful, and stress leads to depression. And if I don't maintain an extremely high dosage of herbal remedies, I will get very depressed.
He knows that if he slips, he's definitely falling off the deep end. So I would go as far as to say that this actually hurts Chris more than it does Leslie and Ben.
Let it out, I guess.
If not for the fact that the trial ended up ruining Leslie's campaign.
I really wish that the ethics investigation hadn't interfered with your campaign in any way.
You don't have to apologize. You were very fair.
I want to highlight this scene specifically because the reason they're having this conversation in this manner, one-on-one in private, is very interesting to me. At a glance, it looks just like any other regular conversations, right? But the reason they're having this conversation in an enclosed space with only the two of them present is because what happens immediately after this. All of Leslie's closest friends gather to give her their support, and Chris cannot be here for this moment. This is a visualization of where Chris is emotionally right now. Chris loves Ben and clearly respects and cares about Leslie, and because of what just happened with the trial and everything, he must feel that he's somewhat responsible for causing all this mess, and so he doesn't belong in this lineup. So after the Leslie and friends moment is over, Chris joins the party. Did you notice anything? The way Chris enters this scene is very unusual for his character. Compared to his usual self, he seems rather passive and almost awkward. Normally he bursts right into the scene and asserts himself into the center of attention right away. This time he's kinda just standing there outside of the door waiting for his cue to come in. The way Chris enters the scene is a bigger deal than you might think. The number of times Chris comes out of nowhere and scares people is truly staggering.
Jerry?
Where did you come from?
Listen, as I said earlier...
To complain to my face.
Leslie, no! Ann Perkins. Andy.
Dude, where'd you come from?
Jerry, I'm launching...
Hey! Let's get this phone party started!
No.
Anytime Chris comes into the scene like this, he dominates the scene. Michael Schur and the writing team knew exactly what they were doing with this. There's a purpose to why Chris likes to enter scenes this way, and there's a reason why he enters this party in such a different manner. It's a tiny moment that you can easily miss, but it's a great visualization of Chris's development. I want to say something about Ben Wyatt before we move on. Chris loves Ben, and Ben is his best friend. Chris is there for Ben whenever he needs him, especially when Ben was depressed. Chris was there for him, but when Chris finally broke down, Ben was nowhere to be found. He was either in Washington or helping Leslie with her campaign or something, but he only showed up after Chris had already made progress with therapy. This actually really pisses me off. Chris essentially got betrayed by his best friend. It's really sad. This is one of the things that convinced me that Chris is the most tragic character in this show.
Pleasure to meet you.
Isn't she beautiful? I say she looks like my wife, Gail.
Culprit number 5, Millicent Gergich. This one is probably the most obvious. Everyone knows how messed up Chris got when Millie broke up with him. But since she's related to Jerry, I'm just gonna blame him anyway.
Damn you, Jerry! It is not my fault.
On paper, Chris and Millicent are very similar. They're practically the same person. It seems like a perfect fit, right? But this relationship was set up to fail from the start. Instead of having Chris in a perfect relationship with Millie, the writers used this relationship as the start of Chris's downfall.
Millicent Gergich has literally torn my heart from my body and replaced it with a thick slab of sadness. I may never smile again.
The writing team knew this character inside and out. They knew what made Chris interesting, and they were very creative in how they brought it out of him. To say that Chris is confident is an understatement. Confidence is one of his best qualities.
Actually, Leslie, you're my boss now.
That's right. Why am I still weirdly scared of you?
I'm very confident, and I make a lot of eye contact.
Being with Millicent brought out the best in Chris, physically and mentally. His self-confidence skyrocketed. It's apparent here in an episode called April and Andy's Halloween Party. At this point, Chris's increasing confidence and upbeat attitude is at the point where it's annoying.
Blue shirt, badge, nightstick. You are a policewoman.
Yep, you're a regular...
Sherlock Holmes. I solved that mystery before you did.
Okay, this is fun.
The girl from The Ring. To me, Sherlock Holmes is literally the greatest character in the Western canon. Smart, intuitive, handsome. Replaces pasty British frailty with superhuman physical fitness and you get Sherlock Traeger.
I legitimately believe that at this very moment, Chris truly believes that he is the better version of Sherlock Holmes. I just want to point out that this is not just a random Chris being Chris kind of thing. There is a reason why he's like this. And the reason is Millicent. Millie gave Chris a serious confidence boost and made him feel better about himself. I don't think it's too crazy to say that she's one of the reasons Chris didn't go completely batshit insane after Leslie's trial. She became the person he relies on for emotional support. Chris is visibly worried and insecure about the potential of losing Millie.
Things were going wonderfully. We clicked on our emotional level, and then suddenly I just stopped hearing from her. Now, you must know her pretty well. What gives?
Good luck with Millicent. Just back off a little bit. Let her be herself. Everything will be fine.
Thank you. Millicent and I are going to take a nice little stroll, and I'll be back soon.
You know, if you want to take the rest of the night off, that'd be fine.
Well, I don't think that'll be necessary. Unless you also want to go get dinner.
Nope. This won't take too long.
Chris, you might want to take a jacket with you. It's about to get cold out there.
Well, thanks, Donna, but Millicent's company will keep me warm.
Take the jacket.
The breakup destroyed him. The confidence boost Millie gave Chris backfired big time. His confidence and general positivity hit rock bottom.
Oh, there's no more tissue. Everything ends.
No. There's more tissue.
Everything goes away.
She shattered his heart and left him more depressed and miserable than ever. But there's a silver lining to the situation though.
Millicent Gergich ended our relationship last night, which was disappointing. But here's why it may be the greatest thing that ever happened.
Yeah, nah, just kidding. It's all downhill from here.
Nobody here compares to Millicent, except maybe Jerry.
I'm sorry, Chris. It's very flattering. I just don't think it's a good idea.
It was worth a shot. Well, I hope that whoever you end up with treats you like the amazing person that you are.
Thank you.
And I am going to go run some stairs and work through these feelings. Am I to understand correctly that you are now romantically involved with Ann Perkins?
Oh, are you about to give me the whole she's a great girl, I need to treat her right speech?
I just had no idea. And so now I have to adjust.
Okay, great talk.
Jerry has a wife and 3 beautiful daughters, a full life, and that's amazing. April and Andy have Champion, and that's amazing. I have a stepbrother who lives in London and 2.8% body fat.
Why are you here eating alone?
I'm not. I'm surrounded by friends. Friends I don't know yet.
I'm really flattered, but I just got out of a relationship, and I think I need a little more time before I jump into anything.
Of course, I understand.
If Bobby Newport wins, he's going to try to bring in his own guy.
Why would he do that?
He's not exactly thrilled you've been volunteering for the Nope campaign in your spare time. Sorry, Chris. If Newport wins, you're gone.
Thank you so much for sticking around until the end. If you enjoy the content, please leave a like and subscribe. See you again in part 3.